a friend of mine who's also a political scientist, I'm Dustin Tingley, by the way, uh, uh, introduced this platform to me because at one point I was griping about how people engage in debates in my department on email, and so it's like that massive, everyone gets CC'd, and then it's just like everyone is just responding all, et cetera. And so this was brought to me, and we thought that this would be a great teaching tool, and it's been started to use at Princeton. So I got to connect with Errikos last year, and I've been enjoying interacting with him, and so I'm going to turn it over to him, but thank you very much for coming, Errikos.
Our mission is to make this world a little bit more thoughtful by empowering reason, by bringing a tool that basically eliminates emotion and elevates reason in a very structured format. And with this, I'm going to jump into a debate. Let's see if this works. This is the debate. This is the one that you're all playing in right now. And this is the debate that I will use to show Kialo. So it seems you all figured it out already and are playing in the debate, in the hilt debate. But if I may, so you begin by setting a thesis on top, and then you write, very simple, pros and cons, and these pros and cons respectively have more pros and cons underneath, which support pro that was above it. And you can go another level deeper. And this way you basically build a debate tree. But this looks nimble, but if you look at the size, this debate has 734 claims. You try doing this with any other tool, try writing a book. That's like 3 books. And that's only the claims, right? And the topology looks like this. So in the middle you have a thesis. And then you have cons, a pro to the con, and it goes levels deep, like 10 levels. The performance on this system, when you debate, is a funny thing. We've tried this in classroom settings, and Professor Nessen's class. For instance, I was given 2 minutes to intro the tool. Ta-da, hello, my name is Errikos, okay. Gave them, just like you, a URL. And what came of it was that. Took 10 minutes. You see broad participation by the students. And I'm allowed to show this. And you see what they wrote. Not a lot of polishing, just pure writing of reasons. You also see here, for instance, we split noise and signal. So in each box, there's supposed to be only one claim, a singular claim, which you then can refute or support underneath. But sometimes you want to make a comment, and here, for instance, there's a comment. We show the changes because it isn't the news is at the top. We eliminate time as an important variable. Like in the commenting system, the new stuff is on top. In email, the new stuff is on top. If you want to refer to something that was done at the very beginning or you're a latecomer, it's impossible. And time doesn't matter here. So this claim was made 3 months ago by Professor Nessen. And somebody basically commented on the claim. So we go and we say, okay, we allow comments, but we basically form them as a meta discussion on an individual claim. So you can ask clarification. What do you mean? Do you maybe want to move this somewhere else? Do you have sources to back this up? Going to return to the other discussion. So in the beginning, what happens very often is that you have a lot of claims on the first level. And then you start with the restructuring, meaning you sometimes take utilitarian claims or claims that are of an economic nature, and you write a claim, and then you move these claims basically underneath there and rearrange the whole thing to become a nice tree. What you can also do is you can link a claim. Right, that was the learning experience over the years. You want to reuse claims. Right? You don't want to write that again and again and again. And then you don't want to write all the claims underneath. So when you link a claim, I'm not going to do this here because otherwise I'm going to get smacked. When you think this one here exactly, when you link a claim, it basically lives, including the branch and all its claims underneath, in multiple locations. And that's the case here. Here you see used as a con underneath, the US should pay reparations for slavery. And the nature of slavery was such as, that's this one here. And if you click on the other location, it's basically, it's a top-level claim too. And a claim underneath another claim. So you can reuse them perfectly. And here you see 25 comments. And the method of debating in this system is it's collaborative debating, right? It's exactly not competitive debating, but collaborative debating. You're working towards finding out or portraying all the positions and points, right? Even if you don't agree with them. Sometimes, though, you want to flag a claim. And if you flag a claim, like here, and you say, this is unclear, and then you provide a reason. Basically shows up as yellow. The reason is underneath. And the original author is notified in the My Flag Claims list. One important bit about the authors, you see in this structure, we don't show chat hats. We don't show authors. We don't think the messenger is actually very important. And actually the messenger very often is counterproductive. But it's Eric's claim. I'm going to go in there and just going to give him cons because it's his. That's what happens. So we eliminate all that and we say this is a pure debate tree, a tree of reason. Another thing that you might have noticed are the impact bars here. And those impact bars are what makes it possible to get enemies, people of completely different opinion, into that system. Because you will have claims in there that you disagree with violently, and normally your tendency would be to delete them from a document, right? You don't want those in there. Here what you do is you just vote it as insignificant. Right. What we're showing right now is the editor's votes, which means the average. Isn't that interesting? Only interesting in direct democracy experiments where people are going to use Chialo to debate with the public. It seems to be the only way to do this. The other systems have mostly failed. If you go and basically use the perspectives, and for instance you choose Gottmimi, you will see that the impact bars change. And you can then sort, and you can see how she thinks, or how Kupo sees the thing. You can sort how he thinks. This is the best way we have of visualizing, reasoning of another person inside the same document, right? It's basically the antidote for echo chambers. You can bring them together in there, and they can still visualize and vote according to their perspectives. Debates, by definition, are very often confidential, and then, so a debate is private when you set it up. And then you can invite people and give them rights. And you, as the owner of a debate, are basically responsible for who you let in. You can also kick them out if they misbehave. This is also the way that we want to do this in public, where in public you have a lot of vandalism, and viewers then of debates can suggest claims, and they will see the claims, and admins will have to say okay or nay. So this is a single thesis debate. And then you also have a multi-thesis debate. Who will win the Game of Thrones? This debate was done using people that didn't know the system, randomly selected on the internet via a service for user testing. And the only qualifier was basically, do you know Game of Thrones? Are you a fan? Have you ever participated online in a Game of Thrones debate in Reddit or wherever? So here you have a question at the top, and then you have multiple answers. You click on her, you again see the pros and cons supporting that individual person. You wouldn't believe the hate and fire that's going on in this debate, and I mean, this seems to be science. They even talk about like theories, and I'm like, I only had to read it and to understand whether there were problems or not. Right. So these are the things you can do with us. They're basically just a technology. In a classroom setting, we've been used to capture debate, right? As in Professor Nessen's class, where you basically just throw it in and then you let the students debate. The only problem that existed was that if you have a lot of people, some will be a bit frustrated that their claim has already been made. Right? There's no way around that. There's just so many claims that you can make, so you have to separate the class. Well, green isn't bad either. What did I do? Here. The second thing you can do is you can introduce them to a debate. I'm going to use your trilemma of the Maroons as a Jury X class of, again, Professor Nessen, where the topic is that the Maroons are basically in a cul-de-sac and don't know what to do, and there are three options: either fight to the death, collaborate, become the slave police, or collaborate and cheat. And then underneath again you have all the reasons and the claims, so you can introduce a class to the reasoning in a very, very efficient, condensed manner. I mean, if you wanted to write this down, you would have to give them a couple of papers or a very long introduction. And the third way, which was used in Princeton, is as a tool to outline a thesis before actually writing the paper. Right, so you write the reasoning, and then you write the paper, and the professor can basically look at the TAs, can look whether the reasoning makes sense before they commit to the paper. Fourth, and that's not been used in a classroom yet. I'd love to see it, but it hasn't yet. Has been used by a company for HR purposes, though, is instead of an interview, you go and you throw out a thesis and you give it to the individual candidates. You give them 15 minutes, and it's basically the purest way of measuring reasoning power, right? And then you get maps, and you can perfectly compare them and see who makes mistakes, who can think broadly, who thinks holistically, who thinks one-sided or not. Also, it eliminates the problems that non-native speakers like me are at a disadvantage in a course. People that are introvert, that wouldn't raise their hand, people that are shy, and dyslexics. Doesn't matter here. Right? It's the writing skill as such is eliminated from the test. That's it. Here for questions?
If I heard your wording correctly, you said that part of the goal here is to eliminate emotion and elevate reason to a structured form. I'd love to hear you talk some more about what leads you to think that it's possible to eliminate emotion in the expression of strongly held views, and why you feel so strongly that you want to eliminate emotion.
It's a very good question. Well, on the internet, we have plenty of emotion in the conversations that we are having, right? A lack of emotion isn't the problem. Trolling and hate and, you know, minorities and women leaving Twitter, putting different avatars, instead of like their avatar, they put a male avatar on there. It seems that emotion doesn't help us to reason, right? I would argue we are not going to eliminate emotion from the people, right? That's not possible. But when you're debating things, I've very seldomly witnessed a debate where, and I'm half Greek, right? So where emotion basically was very useful and conducive to the outcome of a debate. You know, I screamed with my father, and I spoke very calmly with my German-Hungarian mother. So I thought that both of them were very learning experiences, and I learned both, but especially, I mean, if you take the internet, and person to person is different because I see you as a human, but there's been a lot of research. The further you separate the individual from the information that is being conveyed, the more visceral and hateful the debate might come. That happens over the phone already. And if you do text form, and if you do anonymous debates, like on the net, like for instance, Professor Nessen loves anonymous debates, and you don't know who the other person is, and they don't know who you are, it's very easy to say emotional, hurtful things. So we built the system. You can, of course, make an emotional claim. If it is based on emotion and there is no claim because of X, Y, people will flag it and delete it. It's just that they do this themselves. People get that this is not a place where you say, I like this. That's not a claim. You can put it as a comment. Fine. Well, it's a hope. It's a wish that we can eliminate emotion from debate. I mean, you look at the debate in the US that happened in politics. I would have preferred to see some of the debate with less emotion, also in between individuals when I was witnessing it at a bar.